Roll up, roll up! Face the greatest challenge in the universe! You, sir, are you interested in chess?
I'll say, the crack of leather on willow, the smart white clothes.
That's cricket.
Which one's chess?
Bishops and knights and all that shit.
Oh, that! Yeah, I love that.
Then would you care to pit your wits against the creature beneath this cloth?
Is it a Cyberman?
A mechanical terror. Thought vanquished. Some 40 years past.
It's a Cyberman, isn't it?
A robotic horror whose mere sound makes grown men run away screaming.
It's definitely a Cyberman. And you know what? I have no fear of Cybermen. Bring it on, strange carnival fellow. I shall show this silver giant the true meaning of cricket.
Chess.
Whatever. Remove the cloth.
You've all done very well. Ha ha ha.
See you next Wednesday. Or maybe not. Because this is Time Ram, the podcast which could happen anywhere in time and space, and all is possible. My name is Barry Williams, and I'm joined tonight by Mr. Paul Peri and Mr. Rupe Booth. Gentlemen.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. And tonight we're discussing that amazing episode, Nightmare in Silver, made, as we know, in the 1980s, with Colin of the Baker, because we have randomized the doctors. Yes.
Sorry, it's a shame it was the 80s, isn't it? I was thinking about this while I was on a walk earlier, and I thought basically A Nightmare in Silver describes pretty much every act on Top of the Pops in the late 70s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nightmare in Silver, or as it's otherwise known, Neil Gaiman's other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if it was made in the 80s, it'd be called Silver Nemesis, surely. So
it would. It would be called Silver Nemesis. Yes.
Yeah.
Or Nightmare of the Cybermen.
Yeah. Indeed. So, I mean, I launched straight in with my pitch, which is I think we should replace Attack of the Cybermen.
It does seem the logical, yeah.
Seems obvious, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So Peri's interesting new career as a nanny is the new one, but there we go.
Yeah. Well,
it was either going to be Peri or Mel. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what I thought I had. Was I think you could ditch the kids altogether because they don't serve any purpose in this.
Well, I thought.
Well, they kind of do.
Yeah.
I thought you could still have them, but I mean, they're going to spend a lot longer introducing them. It's going to be like most of episode 1.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, well, obviously they're going to be arguing in the TARDIS for quite a while. And then there's going to be a scene maybe on a planet somewhere with these two kids who maybe get picked up or get kidnapped or something. Maybe they're a pair of genius twins.
You're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead now. Stop that. I'm in charge today. Because apparently, listener, I'm in charge today. This was Baz's idea, so it's on him.
Sorry, go ahead. Yes.
So we all agreed immediately we're replacing Attack of the Cybermen. So the exciting, trailblazing opening to season 22 that we've all been waiting for since our tantalizing glimpse of the 6th Doctor at the end of last season.
Yeah.
In whatever the hell that story was. The Edge of Destruction.
An unearthly child, yeah.
Unearthly child, yes.
I've just had a thought. Does that make Attack of the Cybermen the first story to have been both rammed into somebody else and replaced?
No. The chase.
Oh, right. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The chase.
The chase.
Yeah. Way ahead of you. Yeah.
They both give, they both receive.
Yes.
I'm known for it. But yeah.
Answers on a postcard. Wow, that's a really old reference. A postcard is a thing that used to be sent via actual snail mail, young people. Often it had a picture on the other side. Well, shall I launch into my synopsis?
Go for it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you two are just going to kind of interrupt annoyingly, as I always do.
Yes.
That's the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, prepare to interrupt. Because I'm just going to keep going until someone stops me.
If we get through this in 5 minutes, then it's not.
Then I'm doing it next week too, aren't I? Okay, so we begin with continuing on from a previous episode where Peri, this time Clara in the original, who's a nanny, is blackmailed by the kids she looks after because they've worked out she's a time traveler.
Yeah, well, this is where I was saying we would expand this probably quite a lot.
Now is the correct point.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Continue.
Yes, so like I was saying, maybe start on another planet or something somewhere with these kids, these genius twin boys, I'm saying. Genius twin boys being looked after
We
by
will
a
have the twin
professor.
dilemma one day.
I know, yeah, that could have been like a Hartnell story or something.
We can significantly change the twin dilemma.
Well, it's kind of by necessity got to have twins in it.
You could call it
kind
something
of
else.
what it does. It does what it says on the tin.
The triplets dilemma, you know.
That's what it says on the twin.
Ah.
I'm hoping we get that from the 90s or something, so we can have the cheeky girls as the twin.
Basically, you're saying you want the twin dilemma as the telly movie.
Yeah, with the cheeky girls.
Fantastic.
Philip Seagal wondering why this never got made.
Go ahead. Time round.
And then we introduce the Doctor and Peri to the plot that way. Obviously, they get called in, maybe to pick up these twins. Maybe Webley's taking the twins.
They get called in to pick up the twins because the Doctor's known for this.
It's the Doctor's old friend, as it always is at this period.
Yeah, is it Asmail?
Yeah, Asmail, yeah.
Honestly, you're doing the wrong story.
Or someone else, you know.
Isn't it easier for Peri just to be doing a bit of nannying on the side? I don't know which side.
You're going to need to stretch this out to 2 episodes, though, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it gives us, you know, it means we're taking up the first half an hour or so. We're mucking about with this.
So they're alien kids. They're alien future kids.
Alien future kids. Unless you've got a better idea. But that would be
alien future kids, and the Doctor's called in to babysit.
Yeah.
Which never happens, and it's the shock opening. It was in the Sun the day before. It's kind of like the Doctor's a babysitter now.
This is J&T's big publicity splurge.
What next? A woman.
The Doctor's old friend sends for him to babysit, expecting kind of nice Patrick Troughton. Then bloody Colin Baker turns up.
Unstable.
Keep quiet so they can sleep.
Extraordinarily enough, presumably the parent goes, "Yeah, whatever. I'll leave them with you," and goes off. And gets arrested the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they're Peri's relatives or something, I don't know. But yeah.
I think Peri's alien space relatives.
Peri's alien space relatives, yeah. On the father's side, obviously. Yeah.
Her descendants, rather.
Her ancestors.
I've got my time passed.
You really have been time round tonight. So you've been time round. Baz is basically fixating on the twin dilemma. I'll just try and carry this. So these kids, whatever the fuck they are, the Doctor decides to take them to a theme park.
Yeah.
And so they arrive on the moon.
Yeah.
Apparently. And go for a walk, and no one immediately goes, the kids don't go, why are we not dying of asphyxiation? From word go, all freezing to death, or all the rest of it, all the moon
I
stuff.
have serious issues with this scene, because it's a really good example of a thing you get a lot in science fiction films. You get it particularly in like big Hollywood films and that, where you're supposed to assume that because the camera can't see something, the characters can't. Where in fact, in that room they're facing a fucking great wall with a big sign on saying this is the theme park.
Yeah.
And yet for about 2 or 3 minutes they're going, "Are we on the moon? No, you're not. You're at a theme park. There's a big sign there."
Right.
They are definitely not Romulus and Remus, right? They would be too clever for that. They'd see through it. They'd see the sign and go, girls, "Wait a minute."
How old were the cheeky girls in 1985?
Don't ask questions.
They probably weren't born.
No.
What the hell?
I mean, I could Google that, but I can't be asked.
I disassociate myself from that question. Okay, so anyway, it doesn't take them long to work out. It takes them too long to work out that this is actually the theme park, and it's not the moon at all. And they find that it's all in ruins because the Doctor's got it wrong, because the Doctor. And they meet Webley, who's the curator, who has a small kind of section of it when he keeps going. The Doctor points at a chessboard a bit, and Webley takes them to a star attraction, which turns out to be a Cyberman.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
I've got a
Malcolm
casting
Clark
idea.
at this point. Malcolm gets his pipes out and goes, "I'm back."
I got a casting idea for Webley. Because he does a bit of magic and stuff at the beginning. I was thinking, who's kind of magic who can act and stuff as well? And I thought, Ali Bongo.
Ali Bongo. I could have sworn I thought you were going to say Paul Daniels.
I thought you were going to say Paul Daniels.
No,
Yeah.
I'm going Bongo.
You're going Bongo. You're going Bongo.
Yeah.
I thought, oh God, I forgot his name. Freddie, who looks like him. You know, one of our favorite actors who's in everything. Freddie
Jones.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
there you go.
Jones.
Right. Okay. There. Yeah.
If I
Fine.
could remember his name, it would have helped, I suppose.
Yeah.
I did initially think Tommy Cooper, but then I thought that's actually the year he died in. So
Yeah.
questionable whether he would have been alive or dead.
It's Victoria Wood's husband as well. What's
The Great Soprendo.
the Great Suprendo? Yeah. I can't remember his real name, but the Great
I can't
Suprendo.
either, but I remember the Great
Nah.
Soprendo.
Yeah. I mean, he was a bit of an actor, wasn't he? So,
I mean, J&T is going to go for whichever one of these he can get. Who would have been most available?
the
Ali
Great
Bongo.
Suprendo.
Yeah. Was Ali Bongo known? He wasn't known in the same way as the Great Soprendo was by our time.
He was a big name. Yeah, particularly with kids.
Wasn't Ali Bongo? Didn't he kind of help out on? Was it Greatest Show in the Galaxy where McCoy does
Did he?
magic tricks and stuff? Yeah, he was like an magic advisor.
Or like he was on Ace of Wands.
Yeah.
Well, I like the magic idea. I personally would opt with the Soprendo.
Yeah,
I think he's a more J&T piece of casting.
Yeah.
I'm not attached to Ali Bongo.
You're not married to
No.
Ali Bongo.
Oh, okay.
No.
That's fine.
Not
He's
anymore.
not waiting out the back there.
Well, indeed.
You didn't cast me.
Are you ready to travel through time with us? Then check out Traveling the Vortex, a Doctor Who podcast. For nearly 7 years and more than 500 episodes, we've traveled from one end of the vortex to the other, making different stops with different doctors, reviewing everything from TV stories to audio plays, from books to comics, and more. Sean, Keith, and Glenn take you on a journey through 50-plus years of Doctor Who episodes and spin-off materials. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, so be sure to check us out. And now, we're a proud member of Direction Point, a Doctor Who podcast network. You're listening to Time Ram, a Direction Point podcast.
So, okay, the Great Soprendo comes out, and they use the curator, and he's keeping a small section. And it's a Cyberman.
And they meet the captain around this time as well, don't they?
Yes, they also meet
guards.
the captain.
Yeah.
So I put in. Oh, there's a bunch of soldiers there.
Yeah.
I mean, with it being an 80s story, again, we're going to want to pad this out a little bit. I was thinking maybe because they haven't got the psychic paper in the 80s, there'd be a bit of argy-bargy there.
There will be a bit of argy.
Yeah,
Yep.
a bit more going on. I
Well,
mean,
not argy, not in 1985. Otherwise, the sun's going to come out of going. It was us what won it, or whatever.
yeah.
Can we bring Beryl Reid in from Earthjock to replace
Captain Beryl Reid.
Tamsin Outhwaite?
You replace Tamsin Outhwaite
Yeah.
at your own peril, Mister.
The glamorous Tamsin Outhwaite replaced with Beryl Reid. Okay.
Excellent. Okay, who's going to do a lot of running around?
Yeah.
I don't like the fact in the original that Tamsin Outhwaite's wearing lippy all the way through. You're thinking, yeah, you're supposed to be a soldier. Why are you wearing lipstick?
They're not very good.
They are reject soldiers, though, aren't they? They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the plot. The Cyberman turns out to be an empty chess-playing automaton,
Oh.
and we notice, or well, we don't notice. We see, but they don't see that they're being watched. They're being observed through special eyes, through kind of cameras, by wee silverfish things.
Ah,
I know.
I've forgotten that. Yeah.
Yeah, and which made me think, right, so you guys, did you have this? You know, back in the day, around this time in magazines and books and so on, they always compared the Cybermans to silverfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But either of you ever seen a silverfish?
Yeah, we had them in the house I was in when I was very
Okay,
small.
it was just me who didn't live in a slum, apparently, because I never saw a silverfish at all. And I kept thinking, what the fuck's a silverfish?
They probably hadn't travelled that far north. That's what it was. It's too cold for them.
To Paul.
Well, they die off over the River
That's
Tyne.
the furthest they got.
The Tyne.
They got as far as Sunderland, and that was it.
Yeah, and then
I've said before, the Tyne. That's where salvation begins.
Yeah. They don't go north of the wall, so it's kind of.
Well, no, they're very sensible because they get knacked, like. Or maybe that happened. Maybe it was the great kind of silverfish invasion that the Geordies knacked them.
Yeah, well, it's more the White Walkers. You know, they'll come down and destroy them.
The White Walkers, shut up.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
The wee tiny things. So the Doctor doesn't fall for this thing and opens a chair beneath it to reveal Warwick Davis as Porridge.
Yay.
But not Warwick Davies.
David Rappaport, surely.
It's got to be.
It's got to. Right, we're all agreed.
He's even dressed as David Rappaport from Time Bandits.
He kind of is.
He kind of looks like he's walked out of Time Bandits.
Yeah.
So he's actually the brain of the chess-playing Cyberman, and he's a little bit touchy about people dissing the Imperator's family, or the Imperium's family, or the royal family, basically, for reasons.
Warwick Davis is great in it, isn't he? I mean, I watched him in Willow the other day, and he's so superb.
I've been watching that.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen the original film, so I watched the original film where he's like 17.
Yeah,
and he's great, but he's meant to have these little kids. They're meant to be his kids, and he's only 17. Bless him.
Yeah,
he must have had them when he was 10. So, yeah,
I couldn't get away with Willow at the time, which is why I haven't had a look at any of the series yet.
I
suspect I'll be made to. So
I watched the film as well before that series started. Again, I mean, I had seen it years ago, but and it's quite slow. You can see why it didn't take off. It's quite slow moving, and it's not Star Wars. Put it that way.
Yeah. It's quite fun. I mean, it's got G. Marsh in it, and then towards the end, Patricia Hayes turns up.
Yeah,
and I was reminded of, you remember when we did
Paradise Towers.
Paradise Towers.
Hey, we don't remember one last week.
We did Paradise Towers. We had a vision of Arnold Schwarzenegger attacking Patricia Hayes.
So we did.
Shove her in the waste disposal, and it really made us laugh.
They were great.
At the end of Willow, Patricia Hayes has a massive fight scene with Jean Marsh, and she's kind of kicking butt. And I was like, oh, excellent. Shows me.
This is the Doctor. President Byker, the High Council of Time Lords. Keeper of the legacy of Rassilon. Defender of the laws of time. Protector of Gallifrey.
Yeah, so basically, it turns out that the Cybermen, of which there are 3, all deactivated, are this sort of mythic menace because the Cybermen, the Cyber Wars, were 1,000 years ago, and they were defeated.
I would say this is going to be Ian Levine, isn't it? He's decided to work out the exact continuity of the Cyber Wars, and he said to Eric Sayward, right, we need to really talk about the Cyber Wars.
These are probably 3 10th Planet Cybermen or moon-based Cybermen. Rather than David Banks as yet. And we have a quick moment with the soldiers who remain completely uninteresting at this stage. And then we go back to the kids who are basically doing a fan reconstruction of scenes from the moon base. It seems to me, except without the sound effects going, which is a shame. And they're jumping about on the fake moon surface, but the Doctor's getting a bit worried about funny insects.
They are quite irritating kids, aren't they? I mean, they're not lovable. They're kind of
they are
horrible.
You can guarantee if anybody says to them, stay here, they're going to go off somewhere. One thing I did think about this is that it's surprisingly predictable, which you wouldn't expect from Neil Gaiman. The Doctor's wife certainly wasn't. It, seemed almost a bit first drafty in that way. It feels rushed, definitely.
Because the Doctor's worried about funny insects. He sends the kids to bed, and he does this not into the safety of the TARDIS like a sensible person would, but into the place where the dead Cybermen are. You know what I'm saying about predictable?
From what I've read about it, I mean, it does seem like this script got cut down quite a lot during pre-production. I think he must have overwritten. So, it does seem like we're getting just a collection of scenes that they managed to find time to do.
Are these kids maybe Ant and Dec, or is it too early for them?
They'd be quite wee.
Yeah, Byker Grove was like late 80s. I seem to remember Byker Grove. They were filming when they had that Gatehead Garden Festival thing. It's going to mean nothing to anybody from outside the Northeast, but that had the Doctor Who dome in it. I seem to remember there was an episode of Byker Grove where they were at the Gateshead Garden Festival. So that was about 89.
That was 90.
Yeah.
That was 1990, I think.
Yeah.
90, yeah.
Yeah, I seem to remember getting mistaken for Byker Grove when I was filming with you guys for about the first time.
Not mistaken.
Which was about 91.
Byker Grove, like, yeah.
Byker Grove.
BBC use a VHS camcorder.
Yeah, exactly.
No sound guy and no one else apart from whoever's in front of the camera. Yeah, absolutely.
How about Time Ram?
Time Ram? You couldn't do it in that old crock.
Wolf. Time Ram. Londoners.
So, yes, the kids get sent to bed, which seems like a really odd thing to do.
Yeah.
From either Doctor, but certainly more so from Colin Baker. I don't know why. Colin Baker, I think, by this point would have become exhausted and furious with them and just slammed them into a cell in the TARDIS and gone, go away.
I mean, it works better if maybe we're getting towards the end of episode 1 at this point. So maybe they've been irritating him for a good, 43 minutes now.
Yeah.
And so he's ready to snap.
Perry's not doing much yet, is she?
What's Clara doing?
Not much.
Okay.
Following the Doctor around, following the kids around, basically.
Yeah.
And so they go off to bed, and the scene ends with a dead Cyberman coming to life and having a go at Webley. Again, we didn't see that coming, did we?
End of episode, surely. End of episode.
That's a lot to put into episode 2. We're about 5 minutes in, Baz.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of, you've got 2 episodes to fill rather
You've
than
got to
just
get
one.
mess store out of your brain, okay? just have an embolism, have a sit down, whatever.
He's never far from my mind.
So Angie, who's a twat, frankly, decides to have a wander off, and Artie stays put because he's slightly less of a twat, but not much less.
This is
and
Can we
Again,
get
I was
away with
reading.
calling a 13-year-old girl a twat on this podcast?
She is, though.
Twats, I really.
All right. Okay.
Which is a
Carry
gift.
on.
Well, apparently, in the earlier draft, there's a little thing where she fancies one of the soldiers. So that's amongst the stuff that got cut. You see,
The 13-year-old kid.
13-year-old kids can fancy grown men. I mean, it's not good the other way around. That's pretty bad. But it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, we're going into areas, listener. Areas, I'll tell you.
But yeah, apparently that's what was in the original script. So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So while that stuff is going on that I'm going to walk quickly away from, Warwick and Clara are having a little scene where Warwick's feeling a bit sorry for himself and talking about the Tiberium galaxy, which, if you write it down, looks almost like the Time Ram galaxy. We should have a galaxy.
Yeah.
Which was destroyed completely, ours shouldn't be, to destroy the Cybermen. At the end of the Cyber War, they just basically annihilated an entire galaxy that was full of Cybermen, and indeed everyone else that was there. So, the Doctor destroying Gallifrey, this is small fry.
Yeah.
This is trillions and trillions of lives. And Warwick says he feels really bad for the guy who had to press the button. And we all instantly go, oh, I see.
That was you then.
Yeah, I mean, we all instantly do that, don't we?
It's quite a fun idea, isn't it? That this war has been so dangerous, so destructive that they have to blow up entire planets. That's the
it
first
seems to be
instinct.
like some sterilization. It's a medical thing. The Cybermen has an
Yeah.
infection.
Yeah.
And so you have to cauterize the wound,
Yeah.
and just prevent the infection from spreading, which is a nice way of doing the Cybermen.
Mm.
They've always had that sort of infection thing. Well, ever since the moon base had that infection thing going on.
It bigs up the threat, doesn't
So
it?
that being the being going, infections?
Yeah.
Don't quote me on saying that particular line. And while they're there, the Doctor, our other Lovelace, peeps through a square with a hole in it and warns Clara that Angie's gone into the barracks. And Clara storms off to deal with this problem. And in the barracks, they're having problems because, amongst other things, the gravitron is fucked. They've got a weather machine and it's not working properly. So again, Ian Levine's been going, gravitron!
Yeah.
They'll probably call it that in this. And JMT's gone, yes.
Bring back that gravitron from Sleep No More. Yeah.
That and various other bits of equipment are going wrong for some reason. Angie turns up and says, I'm bored. And no one shoots her. I think that's, very laid back of them.
You didn't sympathise with Angie, did you? You weren't taken with her. No.
Not at all.
No.
Not until she finally gets scared.
Well, in this reason, in this
being a gobshite.
in this version, we can have Beryl Reid punching her in the face.
Are we going with Beryl Reid then?
Just composed a particularly nasty epitaph for her.
Surely, we've got Helen available. Helen can do this.
Helen could do this, but Beryl's more fun.
Than Helen. Wow.
In this part, at this precise moment, Beryl Reid is more fun than Helen Mirren. Yes, I said it. Come at me.
That's enough, Frank. Just shut it.
So Artie, meanwhile, has got up because he's not staying in bed either. Because why the hell would he? And is exploring Webley's museum, which, like a fool, he says he's not scared of, and he gets attacked by a new kind of Cyberman.
End of episode.
So this is David Banks going, excellent.
Yes.
Presumably, because he's been
upgraded.
Cyberman.
It is excellent.
Yeah. I don't think it's quite the end of the episode yet. Because the Cyberman then attacks the barracks in what in this version are some really odd scenes. Let's face it, where it's meant to demonstrate that Cyberman is really fast, which means everyone else slows down, and you see it kind of just walking through laser blasts and all that sort of thing. And this brilliant bit where a guy hoists a chair at it and just goes in slow motion.
Yeah,
so that's all quite fun. But to me, doesn't really work. Guys, thoughts?
It's the whole fast zombies thing, isn't it? You know,
it's hard to imagine David Banks doing that. Yeah, and I don't think they'd really.
Well, they couldn't do it then.
Do it in the 80s, no.
Yeah.
I think the problem with it does make the Cybermen kind of so threatening. There's nothing you can do, isn't it? It's kind of.
Now you see, I had the different reaction. To me, it made them cartoony. It just straight away. I remember watching it the first time, just went. Because that's somebody that didn't believe the Cybermen anymore. They went a bit CG. That's my bête noire. So I think this Cyberman attack is when the Doctor kind of goes Cybermen or whatever, and at end of the episode as this Cyberman storms towards them.
Big crash zoom on Colin's face.
And big crash zoom on David Banks. Right, so we begin episode 2.
Yeah, but just before we start, we haven't mentioned where this might be filmed. Will it all be in studio, or would they go to Blackpool Pleasure Beach or something?
I imagine what would they do somewhere on location. Yeah, maybe it's some kind of pleasure park. Yeah,
maybe they end up they're trying to do that, but they can't afford it, and end up in somewhere like Delta and the Bannermen location.
There's a kind of dearth of like theme parks in Britain.
Yeah,
you know, particularly in the 80s.
Well, I mean, the bit you're coming up to where they say they decide to hide out in the comical castle in the centre of this theme park, and that's the only bit we see.
Yeah,
and it's a very familiar castle to me because it's near Cardiff, and it's just off the M4 actually. So you see it when you're driving into Wales, and it's this turreted castle. It's really sort of quite striking, you know. And
presumably that's how they do it. Then they'd have a real castle, and the rest of it would be.
That's obviously how they save money, isn't it? They got this super futuristic theme park, and the only bit was this fucking medieval false castle.
You'd have a few sort of forced perspective miniatures.
You'd have a model. You'd have a chroma key model shot showing the whole lot.
Yeah.
Or a nicely filmed model. So actually, they've gone back to film nowadays rather than music video for models. Thank God.
Being it's the 80s, probably they'd have some kind of studio set for this bloody castle, and then it'd be some kind of futuristic thing, but then they'd have effect shots for the whole.
There'll be location. I think they'll shoot the exterior stuff on location.
Yeah,
on film, of course. And then we go into the studio castle sets.
Yeah, because there's so many scenes in this castle, they probably want to do it in the studio. Yeah,
they probably set the entire thing in the castle actually. But
they just was it the Revelation where they nicked sets from By the Sword Divided? Probably just do that.
There'll be standard BBC castle walls.
Yeah.
So
I've been in that castle, so it was quite nice to see it sort of pop up.
Yeah, all right. Everyone, stop about the fucking castle now. So the resolution.
We're doing a U. We're doing a U.
I know. So the resolution to the cliffhanger is that the Cyberman grabs Angie and sods off.
Hey.
I quite like as well the idea of having an episode 1 in which the Doctor's not really done very much. That's quite in keeping with the time as well.
It is, yeah.
I don't know. I think the Doctor's quite busy. I suppose he's not very busy in episode 1 of Attack, is he?
He's kind of, I mean, yeah.
He wanders around a bit and finds things out. And
he's investigating, isn't he? I suppose in this one he's investigating the little silverfish, but he's
the
Cybermen haven't really turned up. He's still just kind of sniffing about.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to see Peri being more proactive because she's kind of, you've got a thing where she's kind of not very proactive at all, Peri. But Clara in the actual one is if anything, too proactive.
He's
So what
amazing.
you need is kind of a middle ground, really. Peri being sort of a bit proactive.
Peri, of course, is walking around in her bright pink leotard.
True.
Yes.
All the time. Let's not forget.
I do quite like that Clara just takes over, but I mean, it's very Clara, isn't it? I don't think
We'll
Peri.
come to this.
All right.
We'll come to this.
Okay.
Yay. So, right, the Doctor now has a go at the leader of the platoon, who reveals that the reason they aren't very good is they're a punishment platoon sent here because they're shit, basically.
Yeah.
So the Doctor puts Clara in charge, or in our case, Peri, and goes off to find Angie and Artie and save the day, and leaves a warning saying no one blow up the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Which is kind of worrying.
Yeah.
Oh, now they've got nothing to say.
Maybe this is Peri's opportunity to get out of
I say so, isn't it? Right, okay.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll notice.
Okay. Peri puts a coat on and gets some authority. Maybe that's
Yeah, she put some army fatigues on, and and her pink heels.
I don't think she does. I think she's doing this whole thing in her pink leotard with
It's
a
like,
badge stuck on her tit.
Attack of the Cybermen. She does put some clothes on for episode 2, doesn't she?
She does. That's true. Yes,
Yeah.
but it's particularly cold here.
True.
Yeah, they only do that because they really absolutely have to, because she's with the cryons and they're cold.
Yeah,
they can't really avoid it. Angie is now dumped by the side by David Banks, or probably Brian Orell. It's probably the one who kind of goes cold with Artie and Webley, both of whom have cyber bits grafted onto them, and she starts getting a bit worried now.
Yeah. Which would.
Having demonstrated her immense thickness, as Paul completely pointed out, by not seeing that the moon isn't actually the moon, it's a big room, she's now going, oh, wait, this is a bit of a scary situation. Better react appropriately.
The other thing that got cut from the first part of the story is that the Cybermites hollow out a phone. She kind of tries to use a phone and there's nothing inside it. It's literally gone.
Nice.
So it's part of the reason she's so irritable. If she thinks the Doctor's destroyed her phone. So
nice. Not relevant here, of course, because they're not even going to have mobile phones, are they? Unless they're massive bricks.
That's true. Yeah.
Unless they are future space kids. I'm never quite sure. I'm not quite sure what we settled on for the origin of these children.
80s Angie's got a sort of Tamagotchi or something. Do they have Tamagotchis in the 80s? I don't know.
She might have Munchman.
Yeah. She got little games.
Big track.
Yeah. She's got a little console thing she can play Pong.
She can play Pong. Yeah. So we get a nice, fun little scene where Tamsin and Clara look through a map of the theme park to find defensive positions and are pointing out all these comedically named places.
Yeah.
And Tamsin's assuring Clara they can take out the Cybermen, but Clara's going, nah, that means blow up the planet, doesn't it? Because no fool her. And Porridge, with surprising authority, because we haven't worked it out, of course, points out that since Clara is now the commanding officer, then Tamsin has to do what she's told.
Yeah, he backs her up, doesn't he? Yeah,
he does.
Quite good.
And the response from Tamsin is yes, sir, which is a bit of a giveaway. So adding up the clues so far, you'd have to be as thick as Angie and Artie not to work it out. That's all I'm saying. So the Doctor finds a Cybermite and looks at the chessboard a bit and gets teleported to a cyber ship, which is all quite dramatic, where he finds Angie and Artie and Webley, all cyberish, who thank him, and Webley thanks him for bringing the Cybermen children, which is mildly disturbing.
Yeah.
We cut away to Clara and the troops approaching the castle, as described earlier, and then we're back to the cyber ship called a Valkyrie for reasons, which was basically a cyber hospital. And Webley tells the Doctor they need children to build a new cyber planet because of their clever child brains. But then he says they don't need the kids anymore because now they've got the Doctor and he's sort of the ultimate upgrade. They're always saying upgrade in this episode.
Yeah.
I wish they'd stop doing that now.
It's their new catchphrase, isn't it? Yeah.
They probably wouldn't be doing that in the 80s, would they?
No, they're not going to be doing that in the 80s.
Excellent.
They're going to be going, how excellent. Children are.
Children are excellent.
This was the BBC in the 80s, guys. I'll say no more.
Oh, please be quiet.
Webley inexplicably then chucks a pile of cybermites at the Doctor's crotch. Which seems like an odd thing to do. He does this kind of underhand, kind of like he's going to grab his balls and chuck cyber. Why? And so they can crawl up him dramatically, basically.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
You just chuck them at his face.
Yeah.
Because it's the Doctor. You want to get rid of him immediately. You don't want to chuck things at his crotch.
I like the idea of them sort of racing up Colin Baker's trousers though. That's quite fun. They've got the black and
Yes, you do.
stripes.
And
like a race.
Except they're probably not going to do that in this. I mean, I suspect this entire scene is going to be different, and I suspect it's going to be a more normal-looking Cybermat.
Yes.
Pinioned, and it'll be sort of slowly advancing on him.
Yeah.
And Ian Levine will be going, excellent.
Yes.
And Eric Saywood will be just shaking his head and saying, I think I'm going to say this one was written by someone else. I know a woman name.
The Cyberman is approaching him.
So, yeah, quite
slowly.
He will be cyber converted. They'll just spell it out for you.
Yeah.
And the Doctor does indeed get cyber converted a bit. He gets sort of Borg stuff on his face.
Yeah. It has been pointed out that the Cybermen in this are quite Borg influenced, aren't they?
They're very influenced. They are very Borg influenced, yeah.
I noticed it. I noticed in that scene where they're kind of shooting at them and where they got the big gun, which kind of kills them a bit, and then it stops killing them because they've adapted.
Yeah.
It was very kind of...
Which, of course, in 85 would be a really interesting new way to do the Cybermen.
Yeah. I mean, they're like... So, the writers of Star Trek Next Generation be watching that and weeping, probably.
Yeah. Just going, damn, that thing we're going to do in 3 years' time. Damn it. The Doctor fights back against this Borg shit on his face, and we go into a mental battle between the evil Cyber Doctor and the real Doctor. And the evil Cyber Doctor reveals he is the Cyberiad, which is sort of the top of the cyber internet. It gets all the information. It's the cyber planner, he says. Basically.
Yeah, they're not going to have a cyber internet. So
no, they're not, but they are going to have cyber planners.
Yeah.
Ian Levine's really good. This is actually more continuity heavy than Attack of the Cybermen, I'm realizing.
Ian Levine's really, really going for it, yeah.
I mean, so presumably this cyber, I don't know whether it's the one from the Invasion or the one from the Wheel in Space. I hope it's the Wheel in Space one. It's kind of like Suchar's egg sitting in a frame. Yeah. That's very good. That's very good.
That's a good impression, yeah. He's kind of weaving his explanations in a bit more subtly than the original Attack of the Cybermen, doesn't he? But
yes.
But yeah, at this point they will be telling us about Telos and Mondas and why.
They're telling us about Telos and Mondas. All the Doctor is, and the Doctor rather interestingly threatens to regenerate, which will destroy every piece of cyber technology in his system and anything connected to it.
I've noticed this.
That's a great idea. Yeah, regeneration is a weapon, and of course the inherent suicide that comes with it.
Yeah, the Doctor there thinking he can regenerate right up till Day of the Doctor, which is interesting. Yeah.
But of course the Sixth Doctor can, and of course this is his second story, so that threat of a Doctor so new, that would be great.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, that's where I put the end of episode 1 to myself earlier on.
I think that's too far
for all those reasons.
Yeah.
It probably isn't right for pacing, but for drama, that's a great cliffhanger ending, and actually would justify a crash zoom on Colin's face.
Yeah, I was thinking about those scenes with the Doctor and the kind of Cyber Doctor and how they would do them, and I was thinking, they'd probably have the Cyber Doctor in a different outfit, and then I was thinking, no, actually, probably what they'd do is have him in a silver version of his own outfit. It would be that kind of sparkly. Which is not great, but it's probably what they would do in 1985.
And I imagine this scene to look a bit like the stuff in the Matrix and Arc of Infinity, where they're floating around on a or not floating. They're staying very much settled on the ground, but the cameras move a bit.
Yeah, but you'd have him, in his silver frock coat and silver waistcoat, and
kind of looking like Skagra.
Yeah.
It'd be some cheap video effect, wouldn't it? It would all look a bit kind of flash.
I think it would all look a bit kind of, it'd be a bit time-lashy. You might be covered in tinsel. Or the Siberia might be made out of tinsel.
Oh, they're hanging off the time lash. Yeah, that'd be quite fun. They kind of
something like that.
Yeah.
So they decide, the Doctor kind of goads the cyber planner, the Cyberiad, into playing chess for the rest of the Doctor's brain, because they both got possession of some of it, but there's a bit sort of that they ain't yet that they can fight over. We then go to a scene with a soldier really confusingly called Missy, as far as I can make out.
Apparently so. Yeah.
Odd. Who clearly is set up to get killed, and does, by a Cyberman who's got this fantastic strut like a model. What's that? It's going, hey. It's kind of like the Fonz in Cyberform.
That's got to be David Banks.
That's David Banks, yeah. And Tamsin, in the meanwhile, is showing, I just call her Tamsin because why not, is showing Clara the Planet Destroyer device, which only she has the verbal code to. And Clara kind of stares her down again and goes, "No, now then, no, blowing up planets."
She's
and
quite keen to blow up the
horribly.
planet. Yeah, she keeps going, "Oh, I'm going to blow it up, I am.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it."
You know, what Peri should do at this point is get all American on her ass and just spark her out and deal with the problem in a pink leotard with a badge on it.
In the botanist way, just
in the botanist way, absolutely. Yeah. Hey, Sulu. Maybe Peri should strip topless and get a rapier out and start going, Richelieu.
How about you?
And so would you both. And so would have the sun. So that's all going on, and the Siberian and the Doctor play chess in the time lash. And the Doctor warns the Siberia that what he has at his advantage is he knows a lot about earlier Cybermen and their weaknesses, and because the Siberia is kind of the what's the word? Accumulation, agglomeration of all previous Cybermen, it's still running some of that earlier code. I don't think it would be expressed like this because computers weren't as much of a thing. So it would just be something like, you're still, gold will kill you, or gold will stop you.
Well, gold definitely still killed Cybermen in the 80s.
It did.
So actually, gold really killed Cybermen in the 80s.
It really killed them. It really killed them.
In the same room as it. They're kind of
really
gold.
Gold. Run away.
We must retreat.
It always
have
got a
gold.
bit kind of Holy Grail, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so he slaps a bit of gold on his implants, and that sort of shocks him out of it.
Where did he get this gold from?
It's like a bit of foil, isn't it? Where's
he got a bit of gold foil?
Golden ticket, basically.
Ah, yes, that's it.
Okay, golden ticket. That's right. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Which obviously would be made of actual gold.
Actual gold,
obviously.
He's got it out of one of Willy Wonka's chocolates, and now he's good to go.
Yeah. Actually, you'd think that gold would be really, really scarce because presumably they used it in the Cyber War 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Cybermen probably blown up Voga, so
it depends how this is relative to Revenge of the Cybermen. I was thinking about that. I don't know what status we do. Currently, the status of Voga is undecided. So we'll just have to not Vogue. So Porridge and Tarrington have a bit of to do, and he forbids her to set off the planet-destroying bomb just to underline that he's really the one in charge. And we find out that she's here because she disobeyed orders, and she now wants to redeem that. So she completely disobeys him and nearly vocally activates the bomb, but gets shot.
And she kind of comes in and says that she knows who he is at this point, doesn't she? She kind of
she does.
She very much kind of calls him on it.
Yes, that's true.
Quite a nice little scene.
Yeah. And I thought at this point she was called Alice Ferry. So I was going to make reference to right, good.
Alice Ferrin. Alice Ferrin. Yeah.
Ferrin.
Alice Ferrin. Yes.
So that's a shame.
Apparently there's a gag. There's a gag in the original script which got cut where after she dies, spoilers, Porridge kind of goes into a eulogy in which she uses her full name, Alice Ferrin Love and War.
Well, thank God they cut that.
Yeah, and it got cut. Good.
Yeah, good. It was just a pun too far.
Yeah. So
it's funny because I was looking. I was looking to see what her name was because, like yourself, Rupe, I'd misheard it. And everything I looked in, she's just down as the captain.
This is why I keep calling her
almost
Townsend.
nothing. Yeah, there's almost nothing that quotes her name.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
I looked into them. Doom has been very helpful for me because it's been bizarre
right,
a bit recently. So that's really helped me out.
Clara sends the spotty grunts to fight the Cybermen and joins in with a mega gun. And they've all now got clever gloves, which when applied to a Cyberman will put a kind of charge through it and deactivate them.
Clever gloves.
Not the most brilliant weapon with a creature that can tear your arm off.
Yeah. You've got to get really close and give them a little slap.
Really close. You've got to actually touch them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got to bitch slap the Cyberman.
I would love to see that scene. No, that'd be great. Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially with Beryl Reid, except she's just been shot, of course. I wonder what her death scene was like.
It's so tragic, though, isn't it? She's getting ready to bitch slap and she's gone.
Yeah. Well, no, she's getting ready to blow up the planet.
Although if they're attack Cybermen, they could be just like sort of poking them with a feather or something, and their head falls off.
Well, that's true. Yeah. They almost fall off.
They're not quite as threatening.
And vomit and generally, Yeah. They're funny, the Mark 6 Cybermen, isn't it? They were almost completely unstoppable in Earthshock.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of evolved into the Cyber Wimps.
Yeah.
Basically, where
constantly vomiting, running away from gold. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're great in Earthshock, then they're useless in Attack of the Cybermen. Then by Silver Nemesis, they're stronger, but they've lost their confidence a bit. Oh,
gold.
That might kill us. I'm not sure.
Go in the other direction.
But you've missed out the 5 Doctors, of course, where they get taken down with some arrows.
Oh, they're useless there.
Arrows by everything all the time, again and again. Yeah, which looks great, but isn't great for the Cybermen.
The Vervoids are probably the best dirty joke in Doctor Who.
They're hermaphroditic plants.
A lot of plants are.
So there you go. It's based on science.
No, they'll ship anything.
There are probably 11 and handle shippers out there. You just have to drill a hole where his mouth is, and you're all set.
You know he needs the room. I've seen it in pictures.
I'm not saying you're not a fan. I'm saying you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Doctor Who gives a drunken Doctor Who podcast for the end times.
Doctor meets back up with Clara at this point, bringing the kids and Webley, and sort of apologizes for being cyber zombies, which is a great little scene with Clara kind of going, "What have you done to them?"
Yeah.
So I don't think Peri's going to be quite as bothered, since they aren't her kids or anything to do with that.
But I mean, it's a good opportunity for Peri to actually genuinely have a beef with the Doctor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is. It is.
What the hell?
And the Doctor's obviously got he's probably going, "Peri, look at my face. I'm covered in cyber shit."
Yes.
Or words to that effect. And probably gets quite defensive about it.
Mm-hmm.
The Cyberiad at this point activates lots and lots of Cybermen on the Valkyrie. Mm-hmm. Porridge falls in love with Clara over the medium of hot drinks, and she fucks off to see the Doctor, which appears to be the story of Porridge's life. And he does much the same thing, which leads Clara to realise that she's actually talking to the Cyberiad, because the Doctor wouldn't go on like that.
Again, it's quite Peri, though, isn't it? That everyone's flanging after her, so it's kind of...
It's totally Peri.
Yeah.
Totally fits this.
Bit disturbing when the Doctor starts doing it, but...
Yeah, but that'll be a great little scene. It's fun in this one. I think it'll be even more fun in the 85 one. Because it's Peri and the Sixth Doctor. And then the aforementioned lots of Cybermen rock up outside. So everyone's horribly outnumbered, and Porridge takes matters into his own hands, and he goes off to find the bomb device thing. And the Doctor, in the meantime, oddly enough, it seems, sacrifices his queen to save the kids. So the pointless kids are sort of freed. Hooray.
Hooray.
Yeah, but, he's not going to let the kids get killed. Even if you don't like them much, he's not. No, he's not going to do that. Not on primetime television.
Yeah. So things basically hot up now.
Mm-hmm.
Porridge takes Webley out with his clever hand device, bitch slaps him basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes down, and so does Porridge. And the Doctor gets all smug and says that sacrificing his queen will give him victory, because the Time Lords invented chess, which is a fact we didn't know about the Time Lords before. Presumably it's the chess of Rassilon or something. I don't know. Is it all sculpted into little Time Lord figures? That'd be great.
Well, didn't the Doctor invent chess, though, when he fought Fenric back in the first millennium or something like that?
This is before that story. This trumps it in Time Ram terms.
Does it? Have we done Curse of Fenric? I don't think we have. Have we?
No, we haven't. I
think
it
might not. So
with my clearly fantastic memory.
This is Ian Levine referencing that first Doctor story, The Curse of Fenric.
At the moment, indeed, yeah. At the moment, the Time Lords invented chess, apparently.
Mm.
The Cybermen overwhelm all the troops outside, and then they all slow down and stop just when they're about to kill Peri, who's going, no. Because the Cyberiad's now using all their brain resources on the chess game, which is silly of the Cyberiad.
Mm.
Because it could just betray the Doctor. They make a deal. If I win, I get, no one dies, the kids go free, blah, blah, blah. If you're being a cold, logical thing, you wouldn't actually have any qualms about going, yeah, I'll go along with that. And then, no, I lied, mate, because that's the logical thing.
Again, it's like Fenric, though, isn't it? It's like, I'm about to win. A chess problem. I must now focus on this.
It is. It's very Fenric, really.
Yeah. It's like in Fenric, where the solution is black and white team up, and you're thinking, yeah, because that's how chess works.
Yeah, it's not actually a legal chess.
Fenric doesn't turn around and go, hang on a minute.
In all fairness, as I was just saying about the Cybermen, if you were the Doctor, you'd lie as well.
Yeah.
You just would. So everyone's lying to each other. And this gives the Doctor, all the use of solving the chess game. If Tomek Bork was there, it would be different for the Cybermen.
Atomic Bork. So we need Atomic Bork in this somewhere, don't we? Yeah.
He's not going to be there, otherwise the Cybermen win. Maybe he's the voice of the
We need
Cyberman.
Atomic Bork in every Colin Baker story from now on. That's really what needs to happen.
Very well.
He's Helen Mirren from the
charge
mid
this week,
'80s.
I make that your job. You are now the Borker.
You've been balked.
So the Doctor makes his 3 moves, which are activate the sonic screwdriver, activate the pulse from one of the clever gloves, and then finally amplify the pulse, which works and frees him from the Siberia.
Again, these technically, I think you'll find if you look at the rules, these aren't legal chess moves.
Yes.
The earlier points about everyone lying to each other.
Would Colin do all this, or would he just like shoot everyone?
I said "and so." That's not fair. Go ahead, Paul.
I'm saying, would Colin do all this, or would he just shoot everybody?
He pushed me into an acid bath, you know.
There isn't an acid bath; it's a theme park.
They're doing chess next to the acid bath. There we are.
Do they have different kinds of theme parks where you come from?
They got acid in the moat.
Billy Bottle's comedy acid
moat. This isn't Marinus.
Yeah, it's the comical acid moat.
No, it isn't. Stop it. The Doctor
what they do
is
for
free
laughs
from
in
the
this part of the
Siberia.
galaxy.
Shut up. The Doctor is free from the Siberiad and says that they need to get off the planet and destroy it. And Angie points out that it's obvious that Porridge is the Emperor, which, yes, it is.
Duh.
And well, you know, got to redeem the previous thing of not realizing the moon wasn't just a big room with a sign in it. And therefore, presumably, can verbally activate the bomb, which he does. Hopefully with Sylvester McCoy by his side, dressed as an old man. And then it all kind of ends quite quickly, because now that they've revealed that Porridge is the Emperor, he just beams them all up to the Imperial flagship and the planet blows up. And he tries to use this frankly really flash move to impress Peri, but she's not interested. And
again, fairly standard, really. Yeah.
And they just go. They just refer. They don't refer. They go. Refers in the next bit.
That's the funny thing about Peri's arc, isn't it? Is that
She's got an arc.
All these people flanching after her, and the one she actually ends up with is Brian Blessed.
I know. That's
he's got a type. What can you say?
Maybe she's been taking of certain plants, you know.
Yeah, I bet she wishes she'd stay with Hugo after all that. Yeah.
When Hugo's if Hugo's just about 20 years old.
With all these men, she's kind of thinking, oh, I wish he was bigger and louder. You know, the bigger beard. I think I'd really go for him then.
This guy isn't loud and aggressive enough.
And acted bigger, yeah.
Maybe that's why she sticks with the Doctor. He's just sort of big enough and aggressive enough that she that's what she goes for. That's really disturbing about Peri now, isn't it? Kind of, yeah. I've gone to a dark place there.
There's lots of dark places on
worryingly,
this one. Usually involving children and Cybermen.
It fits the evidence. That's what's worrying about it. Is it's not out there. It's kind of.
It's like the end of Emma Peel's time on the Avengers, where you eventually see her husband and he looks exactly like Steed.
Yeah. If they got Colin Baker in to play Urkanos, that would have been. Well,
or if Peri had gone off with Maxwell, which, let's face it, in Time Ram, she might.
Or Babe and the Butcher.
Oh, Chris Boucher.
Yeah.
I'd say we should dedicate this to Chris Boucher, but he's worth better.
Chris Boucher would have nothing to do with this.
We get 2 little kind of final coda scenes. One, the Doctor in the TARDIS referring to the continuing mystery of Clara being the impossible girl. We're just cutting this, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well,
isn't the impossible girl?
No. Yeah. It's that line, isn't it, which people get a bit hot under the collar about, where he says that she's a mystery wrapped in an enigma in a skirt that's slightly too tight. People get upset about. I mean, even as he says it, you can see he's thinking, that's a bit naughty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is wrapped up in an incredibly tight pink leotard. Less than Clara ever does. So and then we finally get Emperor Warwick Davis going home in his massive spaceship with a pretty soldier who's basically ignoring him because he is Emperor Space Incel. And that's the end.
His enormous spaceship would be tiny, though, wouldn't it? In the 1985, they wouldn't build that enormous set for one shot.
Sure. Yeah,
you'd have a little.
Well, the whole thing might be chroma key. It might.
Revenge of the Cybermen,
like the Rani's TARDIS in Time and Rani. Maybe they're just standing on a model.
Is it the Temple of Peace is standing in for a spaceship yet again? Is it kind of the same place? I think it probably is. Yeah.
It looks like it to me. Yeah. I did wonder if
It's clearly the same room in all those stories.
Yeah.
So there we are.
Yeah.
And so I think before we end Spleen, what do we think about Nightmare in Silver as it stands? Because there's so much that's right with it. It should be great.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it?
It's hard to say, but
isn't it?
There clearly is something wrong with it, because
isn't it?
Doesn't quite hang together.
Work for some reason.
I mean, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, and that it's got so much crammed into it that they've kind of cut enough.
Yeah,
they've even cut plot to the point where it's almost incoherent.
Yeah. It kind of, that scene with the super fast Cybermen kind of sums the thing up to me. It's kind of what you know, that scene to me doesn't really work. It just doesn't look convincing, I was going to say, but this is Doctor Who. But in an era where things do look a lot, you know, very convincing, a lot of the time, it just, I don't know that I thought too many ideas, which very much fits in with what Baz is saying about it all being cut down. I do seem to remember that the script was meddled about with, and Neil Gaiman wasn't massively happy with it.
Yeah, I can't imagine that he'd have left it in that state if he'd had
no
time, you know, to work on it.
I mean, the cast's fine. No one's wrong. You know, everyone's good.
Yeah, there's lots to like about it. I don't hate it as much as some people seem to, but it's
no. It's if anything, I'm a bit irritated by it because it should be better.
Yeah,
I think that's part of the thing is that after The Doctor's Wife, people's expectations for a Neil Gaiman script were sky high.
I did wonder that. I did think that, but Neil Gaiman's writing in general is sky high.
True, but I mean that was a one-off idea. It's like he's not going to come up with another idea like that, guys. You know, that was clearly, you know, you can only do The Doctor's Wife once.
Yeah.
Can you say that?
Poor the Doctor.
So for second album, you've got second album ideas in there. It's not gonna reach those heights, and that's inevitable.
Ensplinment.
Is the 1985 Colin Baker version better or worse than the original?
I think what I was hinting at earlier with the kind of the idea of the twins is that the child actors might be a bit shit in the 1980s.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessarily going to be better. I think it's going to be hit with the usual problems from that era, I think.
Yeah. The production values do an awful lot for the version that we have, and they're not going to be that high.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I don't think the technology existed in 85 to make that story look good.
Well, it did. You just couldn't afford it.
The BBC couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we're saying that, but even if you look at Hollywood movies from that era, some of them, the effects, after a kind of an amazing flair, with the Star Wars films, effects start becoming a bit ropey in some of the, like we were talking about having watched Willow. The effects in Willow are quite poor.
They are quite
for
ropey,
a big Hollywood film.
You think this is George Lucas, but so the sort of the green screen stuff, a lot of that is a bit dodgy in there.
Yeah, matting in the 80s does sometimes let things. I was watching The Dark Crystal recently, the original film, having just watched the sequel series. And there are some shots that I hadn't noticed. I haven't watched it for a long time, where the matting is just 80s.
Yeah,
in the same way that in Doctor Who, you're going to have fizzy lines around you.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Yeah,
because that's just where the technology was at. So on the whole, we think it wouldn't be as good. I think it would be I think it would be better than Attack of the Cybermen.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it would be a very strong start to the season. There's a lot going on in it, and it would work better spread over 2 45-minute episodes, much better.
I say if you could put a lot of that plot back in. I mean, we've kind of we've routed through the plot that there is there, but I mean, you could put in a lot of extra stuff happening. A lot more explanations for quite why things are fitting together the way they are.
It would still be afflicted by Spears kids.
Kids. I mean, you could perhaps
kids.
Webley just kind of is there and then he disappears. It would be nice to find out a bit more about him and actually kind of explore that character.
Yep.
Because I mean, he's played by a really good actor, whose name I forget, but he's brilliant, and he's kind of
I could read
underused.
Jones earlier on, so I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
But this time he's the great Surprendo.
Oh, he's the great Surprendo.
Yeah.
Does he get to say Piff Puff Puff in it?
Jeffrey Durham.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Durham.
Jeffrey Durham. That's it. Yeah.
That's because I walked down to Durham to see.
Yes,
There's a reason I did that, clearly.
Yeah.
It also occurred to me that I was saying that Ali Bongo was a magic advisor on Great Show in the Galaxy. It wasn't. It was actually Talon's Weng Chiang.
Really?
He was a magic advisor on for the.
For the magic show on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Yeah.
That's more his era.
Yeah.
So, bearing in mind that between the three of us, we only have one grade left, it's with a certain degree of trepidation that I press the button.
I did wonder if maybe what we should have done.
Not use our grade.
This is a bit late, but maybe whoever uses their grade should have the option to say no, keep rolling. If you roll essentially the same story again, that would have saved us. But never mind.
Well, hey, we're good for next year.
We're good for next year. Yeah.
I mean, the one after the year that's not even started yet.
We burned through them.
Oh, has it?
No. So, here we go.
Rolling.
So, we have Mr. David Tennant.
Oh.
Indeed.
10 or 14?
Hey? Well, 10.
Obviously, yeah.
Actually, I'm not putting 14 into the generator yet. I suppose I should, because technically we've seen him on screen.
No, let's not put 14 in the generator.
Yeah, we've got enough going on. In story 82.
Ooh, 82. That's quite early.
2, yeah.
Yeah, so I can tell you now. Ooh,
tell us now.
Okay, you will like this. David Tennant, starring in Pyramids of Mars.
Oh,
that should be interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Bit of a classic story, classic Doctor Who action.
Yeah.
And the first one I ever remember.
Yeah.
Take us right back to the 20th century. So there we are. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, there we go. We're all happy with that then.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
Well, I think that was a generally successful ram.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like a generally successful ram?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Well, listener, thank you for joining us on this tremendous ram into a nightmare in silver. Join us again next time for Pyramids of Mars with his own I don't know, with
who's
Doctor himself, David Tennant. I don't know,
his own pyramid.
My own pyramid. I should probably say thanks to Ben Jones for providing our music.
Hello, Ben Jones.
Thank you, Ben Jones. And if you wish to contact us, we're available on Twitter. Use the hashtag TimeRam to track us down. Well, I'm on there as @BazTimeRam. Rupert is @Rupert Booth, and Paul is @Paul38. I'm also knocking around on Tumblr and other places, so check them out. And we have a group on Facebook. We've got our own website. You can check that out as well, timeram.com. You can find all the links and information there. Another way to support the podcast is if you join us on Patreon and check out some extra content there. So please have a look. See what you think.
It's better than this.
It's better than this. It's better than this outro. So thanks.
I didn't mean the outro specifically. I wasn't dissing you. I was just trying to make you go to Patreon. Persuasion.
There's some great stuff on there. There's the pilot episode. Various outtakes. The video time ram. There's all sorts of. So yeah.
Reviews.
Yeah. Not quite news, but certainly reviews. So
yes.
Yeah. I've gone on far too long with it. But there we are.
Reviews.
So we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
one that, well, actually, Paul's the only other one who might, because it's ITV, who, when we all say goodbye, expects the rainbow theme to come in.
Yeah.
You all kind of go, goodbye.
I wish I could say goodbye the way George used to, where he used to go, goodbye. He used to do that little kind of noise in front of
the last, yeah, he was always the last one,
yeah. I did occasionally see rainbow. I'm not quite sure how, but I did. Yeah.
Osmosis.
Yeah. And the Thames logo. Bam, bam,
yeah.
Yeah. Very familiar. So.
Direction point. A Doctor Who podcast network.